On March 18, 2026, Iranian missiles struck Qatar's largest energy facility.
This is the world's largest LNG export facility, now severely damaged.
The damage is so significant that repairs could take up to 5 years.
Qatar faces tens of billions in lost future revenues from this attack.
Global oil and gas prices surged overnight following the news of the attack. But Qatar hadn't even attacked Iran, so why were they a target? The timing of the strike was particularly devastating for the nation. At the exact moment the missiles hit, Qatar was finalizing a massive project. They were building 8 brand new mega LNG trains in the region.
These facilities are so large and complex that they cost over $40 billion.
Over 45,000 people from across the world were working together on this site.
The first megatrain was just months away from producing its first LNG.
So how did it all fall apart, and what happens next?
Just a few decades ago, Qatar was a small, isolated desert peninsula. It relied on a modest pearling industry and small fishing towns. Most of the country was flat, dry, and sparsely populated. That began to change in 1940, when oil was discovered. Qatar's economy slowly transformed as modern industries began to pop up.
The real transformation came decades later with a massive gas discovery.
In 1971, geologists discovered a massive offshore gas reservoir beneath the Gulf. That began to change in 1940, when oil was discovered. This is the North Field, or South Pars, depending on the side of the Gulf. Qatar controls this part, while Iran controls the other. This gas field is so massive, its area is more than 80% of Qatar. It has enough natural gas to cover 13 years of global gas demand. An unimaginable amount of energy, concentrated in one of the most tense regions. Despite the conflicts, operations at this gas field largely continued uninterrupted.
For Iran, it supplies a significant amount of their energy needs. But that transformation didn't come instantly.
Qatar didn't start exporting LNG until 1997, over 26 years later.
That Mark Vester's that moment with intervidence. Unlike oil, natural gas is incredibly difficult to transport.
And it first has to be cooled to around minus 162 degrees Celsius. This process is called liquefaction.
Liquefaction is done inside giant industrial facilities known as LNG trains. At a glance, they look like really complex machines. The process begins offshore, where raw gas is extracted from deep beneath the seabed. Next, the purified gas enters giant compressor trains, where it is cooled into a liquid. Once liquefied, natural gas shrinks to 1/600th of its original volume.
The liquid is then pumped into massive insulated storage tanks near the coast. All of it was centered around one place, Ras Laffan Industrial City.
Ras Laffan alone produces about 20% of the world's LNG. That's thanks to a total of 14 LNG trains with massive annual capacity.
You probably see the problem that I'll get to in a moment.
LNG already made Qatar one of the wealthiest countries on Earth.
In the early 20s, Qatar announced the North Field expansion project.
The project will create an additional 8 mega LNG trains.
Once complete, this expansion will increase Qatar's LNG production significantly.
Qatar assembled one of the largest energy partnerships in modern history.
Some reports estimated that 45,000 workers were involved in the project.
Qatar ordered more than 100 ships to meet that demand.
Okay, let's jump to this year.
By early 2026, construction of the first mega LNG train was well underway.
Years of construction were finally nearing completion.
But at almost the exact same moment, this happened.
In February, the US and Israel started attacking Iran.
The conflict then escalated and spilled into neighboring countries.
On March 18, the US and Israel hit multiple Iranian gas and oil sites.
South Pars is quite literally the country's lifeline.
It supplies fuel for power plants across the country and supports major industries.
Because of the attack, they lost 12% of their total gas capacity.
Before the attack on South Pars, most of the fighting was between military targets.
Within just a few hours, Iran retaliated. Missiles were launched across the Persian Gulf towards Qatar.
Their target, the center of Qatar's LNG operations, Ras Laffan.
2 out of Qatar's 14 existing LNG trains were damaged in the strike.
LNG trains are not something you can just quickly rebuild.
These are complex machines that take years to construct, even under normal conditions.
And now, all of this is happening in the middle of a war. Another facility known as the Pearl GTL was also hit in the same attack.
GTL stands for gas to liquids, a process that converts natural gas into different liquid products.
According to Shell, one of the 2 trains could take up to a year to be fully repaired.
These are not the only major energy projects in Qatar delayed by the war.
About 100 kilometers from the east coast is the Maidan Mahzam oil field. Now, decades later, its productivity has slowly deteriorated. Because of this, Qatar approved a $4 billion program to extend its lifetime. They're doing this by constructing new offshore platforms and underwater pipelines. The project was already in its advanced bidding stages when the war began. But as the conflict escalated across the Gulf, everything became uncertain. Right now, it's still unclear when construction could actually begin.
Though the project is not yet cancelled, it's now basically stuck in limbo.
Iran's attack on Ras Laffan raises a major question. Why Qatar? After all, Qatar itself hadn't attacked Iran.
But geopolitically, the answer is much more complicated.
Though the project is not yet cancelled, it's now basically stuck in limbo.
But there may have been an even bigger objective behind all of this: global energy prices. A huge percentage of the world's oil and LNG pass through the Persian Gulf every single day.
At this point, almost everyone has heard of it.
Whenever tensions rise in the Middle East, the Strait immediately becomes part of the conversation. Oil from Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq, the UAE, and Iran all pass through here. This means that if Iran blocked the strait, the effects are felt almost instantly across the entire world. But closing Hormuz was only one part of the equation. When Iran struck Ras Laffan, it wasn't just targeting Qatar.
Their strategy here is quite simple.
Governments around the world now face a lot of pressure to de-escalate the conflict. Yet even after everything that happened, Qatar has committed itself to continuing the North Field expansion. Just recently in April, a major contract was awarded to American energy company Baker Hughes.
Continuing construction during an active conflict creates an entirely new set of problems.
Ras Laffan has already been hit once, so the workers here are in real danger.
Qatar does have defense systems in place for attacks like this.
This massive gas field isn't going anywhere. But whether Qatar can finish what they started, and at what cost, is a big question. But what do you think? Will Qatar's expansion survive this war?
Let me know in the comments down below. I really appreciate everyone who tuned in.
I hope you were able to get some new information out of this. Thank you for watching.